Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, in thy suppliant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, episode 38, Spiritual Burnout. Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Caitlin.
And welcome to Third Eye Bind.
In this episode, we're talking about spiritual burnout.
Man. Jeez. But before we get to that, if you like us, please support us by sharing this podcast, pausing to review, rate, send us some snail mail. I don't even know if that's a real thing we can do, but you could give it a shot. And if you really like us, you can support us on our Patreon. Patreon.com/thirdEyeBind for some fun old goodies.
Yeah, no, but seriously, Laura just made a really cool sticker pack for our patrons, and
I forgot about that.
they're
That's
holographic,
right.
and you definitely want them.
Yes, you can join our $10 tier, and I will mail you a glittery sticker pack full of some designs, including our lovely logo,
Original designs,
a Listen to Third Eye Bind sticker, and
this little Nokia style cell phone that says discernment.
it says discernment. You got a text and it says discernment.
Who remembers T9 texting?
What's that?
T9? Okay, so there were two different ways to text on a phone that only had the
It was
number
the
keypad.
do-do-do.
It was
Yeah, I remember that.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
Yeah.
right? And then there was T9, which was kind of like early predictive text.
Oh.
And it was way faster.
I probably do
Yeah.
remember that.
It was fun.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. And I do know how to use a rotary phone as well. So that's how
love
close I am
rotary
to death. At least I experienced a lot of cool phone technology in my lifetime.
Seriously, a lot. I really liked the clear, different color cord phones that we had in the 90s for a minute. Those were fun.
I like translucent anything.
The translucent ones, yeah.
I had that.
They
I
matched
had
your
that.
inflatable chairs. It was awesome.
Everything was
A good time.
really fun. Anyway, so spiritual burnout is our topic for today. That's why we're wearing these shades.
We're just so burnt out.
It's too bright. It's too bright sometimes. And we just had to wear these
Sometimes it
glasses.
can be a little too bright.
Sometimes
and
it can be.
That's what we're going to talk about today.
And we're gonna
But
get into that.
before we get into that, we are going to do what we always do and pull a tarot card.
Very excited to see what comes up for spiritual burnout. I do have a few predictions. The Hermit?
Is that it?
The-
No. Okay.
No? Okay. What else? That's the only one I can think of.
That's it. Okay.
Ones that mean nap time. Snack time, nap time.
Snack time, nap time.
Oh.
I pulled the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords, if we're looking at the Smith-Waite deck or other decks inspired by it,
Oh.
you see two figures in a little boat. There's no dock in the original Smith-Waite version, but there's two figures in a boat and then one behind them in the boat that's rowing. And there's definitely this element of sorrow and sadness and needing support. Behind them are rough waters. Ahead of them are gentle waters and an island. And those rough waters signify like coming away from something difficult or even currently moving through something that's difficult and recognizing that like it's kind of depleted your energy and you need some extra help to get to that space of feeling peaceful. And then eventually after peace, feeling grounded when you get to the land on the other side. I think this is a great card when it comes to spiritual burnout because I also like to call the Six of Swords the come down card. The come down card. And spiritual burnout is something that can happen for a multitude of reasons. It could be you're doing too much. You are so much in the magician, in the action phase, where you are casting spells, saying prayers, setting altars, ritual, and then all of a sudden you hit a fucking wall. It can be post spiritual awakening. And spiritual awakening is a really high energy, chaotic kind of experience. Or it could also be like from leaning into ideologies or teachers that don't really align with who you are and what you know to be true. And what happens after these experiences is like the come down.
God, especially with, for me, the overconsumption, which is so easy to do nowadays with just how much is out there, how much information. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like, oh, I'm subscribing to this, like, you know, this guru or this teacher. It can come from like
TikTok.
Just witch talky, just things. That's how I feel it. And for me, it happens when I allow too many outside influences to get into my head, or even to just get into, my head, because I'm consuming these things when I'm scrolling through like this. And because of what I do, like most of it is witch-esque, or my peers are witchy and all that shit. So it's like, I mean, it's like, where do I begin? And also, yeah, like you said, the magician energy of just, I'm constantly in that phase. Like, how do you avoid that when it's the thing you have to do? You know, how do you, when your work is spiritual, how do you cope with spiritual burnout?
I think that the best way to deal with it is to be proactive and to recognize that our spirituality isn't meant to be like balls to the wall all the time. It is meant to have like a cadence, an ebb and a flow, like nature. It moves in cycles. And to recognize that we can't always be in action. We also need to be in rest and receptivity, because we can't integrate any of the stuff that we are actively doing or actively learning if we don't take time to like sit in that Four of Swords energy, if we don't take time to sit in the Hanged One. These are all cards that teach us that, even like looking at the tarot, if we just look at the major arcana, not even at the minors.
Oh, good, because I'll be able to know what the fuck you're talking about.
If we look at the tarot, it's cycles of discovery, action, and receptivity and rest. And it keeps going. It's this pattern. And then if we look at the world around us, spring is when lots of stuff is happening in nature. Summer, things start to get a little bit slower and hot. Fall, it's exciting again. We have harvest. And then winter, things start to slow down again. The leaves are barren. And our spiritual practices are just as much a part of nature as everything else. And by modeling them after these seasons, it helps us to, for the most part, avoid spiritual burnout if it's our work.
If it's self-regulatory and not regulated by an outside standard that's put upon you. That's why the moon's not full all the time.
Yes.
You know,
the sun's not up all the time.
And when the moon is full, that doesn't mean that you need to go crazy and do an insane amount of work to suck every magical ounce out of this full moon. Oh my God, it's a super moon. Like we don't need to put extra pressure on ourselves spiritually to be legitimately spiritual people. We don't.
Well, and I think that sometimes when folks are first getting really excited about spirituality, there can sometimes be this tendency to like make it our whole personality.
Especially for some people that are just like, I'm into a thing, I'm into the thing.
I'm going all in.
I get that.
And like there has to be space for irreverence.
Yes.
There has to be space for silliness. There has to be space for levity. There has to be space for rest, just as much as there is space for like intentional and respectful spirituality.
Yeah.
And if you're only leaning into that one part, like you're going to exhaust yourself. You're going to get bored of it. You're going to get tired of it.
It's not your job. I'm laughing like that because it feels like it is my job sometimes. It's
a
your
lifestyle.
job. So yeah, it's interesting. Separating the two things from each other is hard when you work in a spiritual space all the time, and so it's always in your head. For me, my practice before like I started Lady Moon Co was like such a very well regulated, beautiful, personal, strong, consistent, but like just chill, beautiful thing. And since I've started Lady Moon, I mean, it's been like 6 years. So the past 6 years have really challenged me to do what we're like talking about, like really regulating, separating, because I don't want to get burnt out or sick of it, goddess forbid. You know, I were to like just start getting sick of being a witch. I don't think that will ever happen. But for sake of argument, you know, like the ways to make it still precious to myself is important. And for me, it's just, you know, keeping it personal and private and separate. And that's sort of how I operate. Is it's a lot to just, like we were talking with in our plant magic episode about, it came up about how, you know, if you're just starting out nowadays, like if you're a young witch or a spiritual person, like, and everyone shares everything. So, you know, you do a spell and you want to share it, you know, and it maybe you fuck around and you're experimenting, but everyone's seeing it and everyone's commenting on it and everyone's telling you it's wrong, or everyone's telling you it's, I don't know, just there's outside comments, and you don't give yourself the freedom to like just experiment privately and find out what in this day and age, like those boundaries mean for you, because kids do share everything. Like that's gotta be hard, because I did some dumb shit and no one saw it or knew about it when I was 12, you know, like, but with all these eyes and all these things, like I would never want that reaction to deter a witch or a spiritual person that feels it really deep to like stray from that.
Yeah, like it's all of the outside feedback that causes the burnout in those cases.
Yeah.
And the discouragement. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. It's rough.
Something that I thought of while you were talking about like balancing being a spiritual business owner and a practicing magical person is I was listening to the Conjure South podcast, which y'all should check out. It's amazing. Queen Cotalia is the host. She is the hoodoo queen.
Oh, yes.
Of New Orleans. She's amazing.
Amazing.
Buy her oils and her soap. They're so good. Okay. Anyway, something that she said, and I was like, oh, my heart when she said it, it was that when you are a working reader, that is when your personal spiritual practice is at its weakest.
Yeah.
Because you are spending all of your precious energy on serving your clients and showing up for them and for their spirits. And when I first went full time, I was seeing 6 clients a night.
Yeah.
On top of working a full-time job. So all of my free time was devoted to everyone else's needs. And I had spent all this time building up my spiritual practice so I could be in a position to be of service. And then like my altars are growing cobwebs and like I'm tired. By the time I'm done, you know, seeing all of these different clients, I don't want to go tend to my altar and refresh the offerings. I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
And over these last few years, I've been slowly like reducing my schedule down, down, down. And it's gone from, I think I was seeing 6 clients a night, probably 3 to 5 days a week in 2019. And then now I see like 3 clients a week max.
How has
if
it
that.
been since that you've made those changes?
It's been a lot better for me personally and my personal spiritual practice, my peace of mind, my mental health, my relationship with my family.
Yeah.
Because what was starting to happen is that spirituality was making me feel the same way working a day job in the apparel industry made me feel. I was dreading it. I was dreading showing up to sit at my table and pull cards and talk to spirits. And it's like, I can't burn out on this because like this means everything to me. It was one thing to walk away from fashion, like fuck that, I don't care, but I can't feel the way I felt then about this right now. And so it's been good, but at the same time it's kind of scary because like we still live under capitalism and I still think like, oh fuck, you know, if I'm not seeing clients all summer so that I can take care of my kids, how am I going to take care of my rent? That's one of the hardest things about being a spiritual or magical practitioner and a business owner is that you're constantly wrestling with like,
It's exhausting.
how do I pay my bills, but also like stay true to myself?
Yes.
I don't know.
It's beyond tiring and exhausting. And I can't, for me, you know, even I don't work with clients in the same way that you do. I'm not, you know, that's very intimate and to where I would imagine it, how I imagine it. I don't think I could do that work currently. I really don't. On a very, it'd have to be on a very, and that's fine. That's fine. I do different work, but it's like, it terrifies me all the time that I'm that kind of burnout because it's tied to something that's I've never been burnt out on in that way. And it's really scary. I didn't even tell our viewers this, but I started up the Lady Mooncast again. It's another podcast because I couldn't fucking hear my voice enough. In case you're not sick of me, it's like a weekly diary style vomit of my week as a small business owner. Anywho's, on the first episode, I posed the question because I saw a meme that said, you know, anything that costs you your peace is too expensive. And I was like, true, but what if the thing that you need, what if you can't quit that thing because then you will not have a house?
Yeah.
What about that? You know, like, what do you do? It's like this conundrum of like, but I've allowed myself to take more full days off. But it still sucks sometimes because like my altar refresh or whatever gets delayed a little bit or, you know, and I feel like a certain pull from my guides or like spirits or whatever to be more present. But I've never like held myself to any sort of like standard with how frequently I need to practice, how whatever. I'm like the most nice to myself when it comes to my spirituality. And I don't know, maybe it's because I've been self-regulating at it for like my whole life that I just feel connected, or that if my connection feels a little off, that I address it. But I mean, those kind of, it depends on a lot of things in your practice, but like extreme self-imposed spiritual expectations feel really icky to me. And in some ways they can be a little culty, especially like if you, like you mentioned earlier, if it's like you're binging one spiritual teacher or something, that's sort of telling you this is how it needs to be. I said so because I said so, and this is what, you know, God is telling me. It's very like churchy, right? I don't know.
Yeah. And
if you're, that gets into like cults and all the fun things we love to talk about on this show. But that's a,
you know, in the spiritual disciplines that I come from, like there are certain parameters that we're supposed to like do. You should do certain things on certain days. And when I'm like in a burnout time, I get really, really hard on myself. Like, oh, I didn't show up on Wednesday. I didn't show up on Monday. I didn't do this thing. I didn't hold up to my commitment. And I'm so grateful that my spirits and I have the type of relationship that when I'm having these self-deprecating thoughts about myself and like how much I suck and how lazy I am, my spirits are like, or like, you're tired. You've been doing this and this and this. And don't forget that when you're cooking, you're talking to us. And when you're showering, you're cleansing yourself. And that you did refill the water, you just forgot. And I'm really grateful for the compassion of my guides, because I am not always so compassionate with myself. I will say, though, like, there are certain deities, there are certain folk spirits where, like, if you don't stick to
Makes me think of
whatever,
Faye.
if you don't stick to whatever commitment
Don't make a
is
deal and then
required,
not hold
don't
up
make a
your
deal if
end.
you can't hold it up.
Don't do that.
Exactly. And if you can't hold it up, you better start communicating about it right away with those spirits. They need to know what's going on. Otherwise, like, you deal with the repercussions. And like, I guess it's just part of the balance, you know?
It's not, it's like,
depends on what your spiritual practice looks like. I just don't want y'all making like spiritual pacts with deities and folk spirits, and you're like, but Caitlin said I could take it easy, and they're like, oh, coming for you in the night.
They're like, Caitlin said me. No, we don't. Well, it's a balance like anything else. You know, it's not to say that you shouldn't adhere to like your lineages, like rules and things.
Totally.
It's just like everyone's different about it. But I'm more like the witch talk people being like, on the full moon, you must do this.
You must do
like
something
humans
every
telling
full
other
moon.
humans like that aren't your spiritual brothers and sisters or brethren.
Brethren. We got there.
Yeah, we did. Bread.
The Muffin Man.
You know, people that aren't in your circle of trust or whatever the fuck, trying to put these like weird human capitalistic like regulations and rules on you that maybe aren't true to like what you want or can handle.
And I do feel like there is a lot of pressure around the full moon, new moon.
Yeah, I'm really fucking tired of it. It's just, all right, we know, like, the moon's full.
The moon is
really tired.
The moon is full, release something. The moon is new, plant something.
No.
Like, tell me something new.
Like, I get, those are suggestions and suggestions that have been made for a very long time for reasons, but that doesn't mean that you can't go off book a little bit, in my opinion.
Like, take it easy.
The full moons, sometimes I'm really tired.
Maybe you're planting a seed of more rest.
I'm planting a seed of I went to sleep.
Exactly.
I looked at it and maybe did a little offering, and sometimes it's a 5-minute sitch.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like an hour-long thing, and I'm very... Reminds me of the eclipse situation.
Yeah.
Where I was so... I stared at it for like an hour, and it was fucking weird. Like, these things... I don't know. It's... We all have different connections in different ways to different things, okay? But... That's scary. There's plenty of ways to kind of put yourself in a corner and be very tired. Yeah. But spirituality is also knowing when to rest, right?
Yes.
Like knowing when to ebb and flow, like you said, like the seasons, like let's...
And why can't rest be a spiritual practice?
Yeah, why not?
I feel like my clients are always super surprised when they sit in a reading and they're like, I've been doing this, I've been doing this, I've been doing this. Like, or they'll be like, I'm so tired, I can't do anything. But what do my guides need me to do? And their guides are like, we need you to like chill out.
Yeah.
We need you to take a nap.
Yeah.
We need you to take a day off.
Yeah.
We need you to go to bed at 8 p.m. And they're like, what? And it's like, no, rest is the ritual sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the ritual sometimes. The That's such a good.
I think we forget that like our body is our first altar.
Yes.
And if our body is not feeling well tended to, like we can't do anything else.
And ideally we know how to tend to our body before it starts angrily telling us to stop. I the other day like went hard. Mm-hmm. And then I was fatigued out of my mind and like couldn't move. Mm-hmm. And that's, then I get brain fog and then you get like a headache and it's like your body's like when you work out too much, for instance, mm-hmm. if you do a bajillion push-ups without having done a bajillion push-ups that much before to like work yourself up to a bajillion push-ups, it's gonna hurt the next day.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy too for like spiritual practices and learning as a student and things like that. A student of whatever, whether it's your own, you're teaching yourself, or if you're a student of another or another practice, like,
if you're going balls to the wall, taking so much stuff in, like, you've got to let your brain have the chance to recover the same way you'd let your body recover from 1 bajillion push-ups.
A bajillion is a lot.
It's a lot.
A bajillion is the biggest number there is.
Or even like, neurodivergent folks like us, like going out in public can be a lot. And then we need time to recover just from the burnout of like existing around other humans.
Just walking into a store. Costco's the worst.
I get Costco delivered. I can't go in.
I go in and
I
am just fully emotional. I don't know how. It's just, it's really, every time I'm like, wow, and I'll be conscious of it and I wear my noise canceling headphones and every time, I mean, it does help, but I'm like, I can't find the quinoa. Like, where is it? And then
I can't breathe.
And then the lights are flickering. Are they really flickering?
I know, right?
Am I going to die right now? I don't know. If I'm going to die, I guess I'm going to die in this Costco tonight.
Oh my God. And then like my oldest is always like running towards one of the snack things. Towards one of the samples.
The samples.
I'm like, where's Hunter? And Hunter's like, I'm getting a sample. I'm like, come back. Stay with me.
It's a lot.
I am overstimulated.
I am so overstimulated. I really, half of me really loves living in Los Angeles for a lot of reasons. Because it's like, safe for my husband to exist and stuff. And also, half of me is like, I need quiet. Like, I need to live on the shore in a cottage. And like, I know this is such a cliche thing to say because there's a hell of memes about it and stuff.
So it's kind of like you're in the...
But even this, I'm like, I need like a lot of chickens and goats.
Yeah.
And that's it. But then half the week, I would like to... Such a Gemini thing.
Have some friends.
I want both things at the same time. So...
I love LA.
But I can't... I do love LA. But I can't... You can have that. I just can't afford to have that.
Yeah, totally.
Type of life in LA currently. But
what are some signs that make you realize you're experiencing spiritual burnout?
It feels really quiet in terms of the voices in my head. I'm serious. Like,
I understand.
It just it's not completely silent, but it's just like, hey, when you got a sec, would like to chat about this cool idea that I have, or like this random sentence, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can't do that right now. I think it's like when it's gonna make me cry. Fuck. This is so shitty and I'm just gonna say it. It's when I see like people on the internet like posting about their beautiful rituals that probably aren't really half the time real, like things, and I get jealous.
Jealousy.
And I'm like, I want to have time to do that, but then not post about it because that's weird for me. But it's like that instance of like, I want to do that, but I have to send out an email. But it's not, the thing I'm looking at isn't like, to me,
It's not even what you really want.
No, but it's just
but
like,
you feel that,
you know,
like,
but I'm just like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, this is so shitty because I know better, you know, like how, with how I relate to this content. So I don't know. It's just, I feel really disconnected and empty and sad and depressed and just the time, there's not enough time. There's not enough energy.
Not enough time, not enough energy. Yeah. Yeah.
If there's not enough solitude, because I like to practice alone. Like, I really want to start, I guess this is like a tip or something, because I need to follow for myself. But for me, like, it's a solitary situation, and I need to give myself more time alone. The only time I give myself currently is in the morning. Every morning, I will do some sort of like moving meditation in front of my altar. Whether it's sometimes, oh, okay, that was weird.
How do I get
Sometimes
you
that's
alone?
how do I get you alone, Laura? Sometimes that's working out.
Yeah.
But I've become so desperate that I make working out like a magical thing.
That's okay.
It's hard to when you're like, the workouts I do are like bar method workouts. So the people that are like, it's annoying and they have annoying voices, but it works. Anyway, it's hard for me to finagle my mind into being like in a magical space, but I do work out in front of my altar. And I think they like it or are entertained by my agony.
I think intentional movement is a spiritual practice.
It is.
For sure.
It is.
Especially when you decide it is.
I know. It's just like, look, your abs are going to be... It's funny. I do laugh at myself. But that's the only time I really have, unless there's been a few times when I've gone up. I have this little like platform on my roof that's flat.
Cool.
This overhang in the backyard. And I like doing it up there, but Laura's afraid of heights. So I know it's stupid, but I am. So I go up and it's hard to get back down. So I haven't done it as much, but I really want to, because we just bought our house. Yay. Yeah. I want to make like a little fucking like witch tent up there, I don't know. I feel, or the attic. I've thought about busting into the attic and like,
why not,
crawling in there like a creepy ghoul.
Yeah,
and really forcing myself, or putting something in the like. I need to not be with my dogs. I need to not be with my husband. I need to like be alone.
Yeah,
and I think maybe even if it's like one of those, you know, people have like recording booths, like these little
totally sound studio,
like a grow room, but it's just for me to practice magic. Like, I think that's a helpful tip that I need to take for myself to really, even if it's a dumb tent, just like to really, if you need to be alone, like wall yourself off, you just got to make it happen somehow. So I'm currently prescribing that to myself.
That's good medicine. A pop-up tent. Yeah.
But my practice right now doesn't look like how I would, I guess, like it to look like, but I know better, and I know it is what it is, and I know that it's connected, and I know that it's still real. It's just I have to balance the work-life situation. I was with some friends the other night. I went to someone's house for dinner, and we hung out and did normal shit, and we were just playing like a fun like trivia video game thing, and I had so much fun not thinking about work for 2 hours. I was like, man, there's really something to this. And I'm like starting to think that it's really imbalanced and fucked up. But
yeah,
I don't know. That kind of stuff's going on.
It's hard though, because like we mentioned, when you live in a world where you have to hustle to get your basic needs met, from housing to food to healthcare,
it's so much.
It can seem insurmountable, like the balance between work life and spiritual life and play.
The amount that people have to work.
All we can do is our best.
All we can do is our best.
All we can do is our best.
That counts. That fucking counts, though.
Does.
It really does.
Yes.
Like you said, like your spirits are like, understanding.
Yes.
And because they're not necessarily human or whatever, like, I think they understand that more. Like, how is it in the spiritual realm? Can spirits get burnt out on them being spirits? What do you think?
I mean, probably.
like,
I don't know.
I guess, right?
I guess they could.
They get burnt out on dealing with humans.
I think that.
Like, what's the literal spiritual burnout? That's a fucking crazy concept.
I think it's possible. Anything's possible.
Right.
I think that your spirit guides are at a place in their elevation where, like, that's not really something that happens to them. Like,
Yeah.
your spiritual court, the spirits you were born with that support you.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of, like, salty spirits out there.
Yeah.
I saw this person post on IG. I've been seeing some horrible takes on mediumship and the spirits
yeah?
lately.
Fun. Do
And
tell.
recently someone posted about how, like, spirits don't hold grudges. I'm like, the fuck they don't. Like, I can't tell you how
you
many
seen the movie
grandmas
The Grudge?
Have you seen the movie The Grudge? But even like
They
on
don't
a less
hold grudges?
even on less like a less horrifying scale, like, I can't tell you how many grandmas I channel who are absolutely holding grudges.
They're grandmas.
Absolutely holding
That
grudges.
tracks.
Most recently, I was channeling for a client who's like had some trouble finding love, and I was like, well, behind you is this like row of abuelas who have all had like experiences with disloyal partners who didn't care well for them. And so they're standing there holding that grudge going like, don't talk to that boy.
Yeah.
Don't you talk to him. Don't you talk to my granddaughter. And I'm like, they're all holding grudges. And I can't tell you how common that is. Like, spirits do hold grudges. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Why would somebody say that they don't?
I don't. It
make
was like
them
a white
appear
person.
more- was
there
it
was
like-
another one. They're trying to like.
That's a love and light situation.
It's a love and light thing. So they're trying to like make people not scared of mediumship, which is cool.
Okay.
I'm all about demystifying mediumship, but
Yeah.
also I feel like it's a little bit reckless to spread misinformation like that. Spirits do hold grudges. Someone else posted something recently that took me out. Where is it? I was so disturbed by it that I put it on my Instagram page.
We like, oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
There's a picture of me drinking tea. Here it is.
Oh, yeah.
They wrote like, everyone makes it to the other side. No one gets stuck or earthbound. What are you fucking talking about? Like, that's cool that you've never had experiences with earthbound spirits. Like, I think earthbound spirits are burnt out. Like, they're burnt out.
That's what I was getting at.
They're exhausted by their life and
They're
what they
like
experience.
Sims in the
They're
corner.
literally
They're
like,
like,
when you take the door off of the room and they're just like clunk, clunk, clunk.
That's
Is
like a
an earth.
residual haunting? I don't know. It's like,
Yes.
Fuck,
They're,
I'd
like,
be mad too.
stuck. Like, I think that's a burnout situation.
We can relate to that, right? I mean,
What else did
Oh
they
my
say that was
gosh.
stupid? Spirits would never communicate in a way that would cause fear, anxiety, or harm. These are human conditions,
the
not spiritual. That's cool that you've never been haunted.
that's great.
I've never been haunted.
I've never been haunted.
But I have helped lots of people
But, yeah.
who have been haunted.
I've heard thousands and thousands of haunting stories.
I recently, last Monday, I did an exorcism because one of my clients had we call them causas, but it's like a spirit that's troubled, a turbulent spirit.
I pictured like a blister.
Kind of. It hurts.
Like you need, I don't know why that popped in
You
my
need to
head.
have it like drained
like
and removed.
like a pimple or a blister. Or something.
So the causa was attached behind her ear, and he would say mean things to her, like, you're stupid, you're
Yeah.
fat, you're ugly, don't eat anything, stop eating, shit like that, fucked up
Yeah.
shit. And like, I'm sorry, but that spirit's not communicating from a place of only love, not causing anxiety. It caused her constant anxiety and harm.
That's fucked up to the
right?
spirits
And
too.
It's right. It's like it's just disrespectful to the people who experience this
Do
stuff.
spirits not need help
Like,
or
exactly.
assistance or support or like an ear? Not like an ear like that, but like an ear to lend an ear. You know, like how can I help you? What can I do for you?
Exactly.
Do you need any help? Those are things I would ask myself if I saw a ghost after I shit my pants.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm not prepared for that.
Some spirits really do. Like they need support.
Yes, like I know
They're like
enough
confused. They're lost.
Do you want to
They're
like
angry. They're hurt.
eat my soul, or
Yeah.
do you need like a nice little encouraging word? Like
And some spirits are evil. Anyway, I'm going to talk more about this another episode.
yeah, we have a special episode coming up
for the season finale.
for the finale.
The
season
finale.
4?
I can't believe we're almost to our finale. That is
I
fucking
can't
crazy. 4
even.
seasons in.
What do we want in closing to impart to our viewers about spiritual burnout?
I would say that if you are experiencing spiritual burnout, the best way to begin to heal and move through that is to take care of your body.
Yeah.
And that's maybe missing out on some activities because you got to get to bed on time. Making sure you're drinking enough water. Eating food that makes you feel happy and full and well cared for. Taking a bath, washing your hair, brushing your teeth. Sometimes brushing your teeth is hard when you're in that kind of like burnout space. And all these little things, putting lotion on after you shower and rubbing it into your elbows and your feetsies, all these little ways that we can show our body tenderness and love is kind of the best way to help ground yourself through the experience of burnout. In my new Oracle deck, there's a card called Care for the Vessel. Mm-hmm. And like that's the message of it, that like your body is the first altar. And if you're too exhausted to deal with the world around you and tend to the altars around you, like just do what you can to be nice to this. Mm-hmm. And eventually you'll find yourself on the other side and inspired again. Mm. What about you?
And in my new Oracle deck, which is all food, you can pick a card and eat something delicious.
Exactly. If you are in the level of burnout where you're like, nothing sounds
They
good.
really go well together.
They do. Mm-hmm. And like, I've been there with like autistic burnout. Like, yes. I'm so fucking hungry.
Eat something you want.
I don't want anything. And something like magic morsels, you shuffle that and you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to eat.
I
can do that. Oh, I fucking love that.
We need to have companion readings with those decks somehow.
We do. Feel like that would maybe for our patrons.
Leave an offering for your spirits. It's a cheeseburger. Leave a cheeseburger for your spirits. I'm just kidding.
But sometimes that's what they want.
Whatever.
Sometimes they want you to eat that.
That's what I was going to say. Oh my fucking God. I get that shit all the time. Is that when I get cravings, I don't think they're my cravings sometimes. They're
are
my
your
fucking spirits.
It's true.
They'll be like, Jack in the Box, Jack in the Box, Jack in the Box. I'm like, okay. The spicy chicken. And I'm just like, oh,
the little
fuck.
tacos.
Or like linguiça. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. That tracks. But in all seriousness, I would say yes to all that shit and ponder. Don't do too much effort, but ponder the source of the burnout. Mm-hmm. Ponder the source while also tending deeply to your nervous system. Mm. And nervous system, when you were talking, I saw like nervous system was like flashing in my head because I know that's why it's for me, but sometimes doing absolutely nothing and binging Vanderpump Rules or ghosty content is what your body and your mind needs, is to just rest. And when we say rest, we mean like lay in bed and with your favorite cozy, with something that's tactilely pleasing. Mm-hmm. Don't wear jeans. No. And just get comfort yourself in your nervous system and listen and watch something that's not triggering, that's not whatever fucking reason it's comforting to you. Just consume that thing and not whatever's making you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And light a candle.
Yeah.
Why not?
I think
That's a ritual.
our
right there.
brains, like,
It's a
sometimes
ritual if you light a
it is
candle.
a ritual. It is.
Just kidding.
I don't see why not.
I know, it is. You don't have to light the candle.
I think that sometimes, like, our brains, when we're doing that thing, will try to tell us, like, you're lazy. Will try to make us feel guilty. And I just encourage you to, like, do it anyway.
Or people will tell you that.
Yeah. Take that nap anyway. Veg out. Like, I have a tendency to tell myself that too. Like, I start feeling guilty, and my spirits will be like, you physically can't move right now.
Yeah.
What else could you be doing, Kate? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right.
And that's
You're
that.
absolutely right.
I go one step further and go, well, you're not doing the things you need to do to make it so that your company's structured so that you don't have to get burnt out.
Yeah.
So
I am
that's
just
fun.
one human.
I'm like, look, I am just one person. Well, if you had hired more people and like structured your
Yeah.
company, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. So take it just, oh God, it's the hardest thing to do, but just be
Take it
kind
easy.
to yourself
Yeah.
and take it easy and know that you are not alone in that. We experience that. Everybody experiences that. I don't care if they act like the coolest kid on the block with their Insta and their, ooh, look at all my stuff. Nope, they experience it too.
And even our spiritual elders experience it too. Like, you'd
Right.
be surprised. Like, our spiritual elders go through phases of burnout and needing to hide away and go into hermit mode as well. And so, like, there's nothing wrong with you or broken with you if you're experiencing it. You just have to move.
Yeah.
The only way out is through.
I think you learn that when you get older, and that's some elder energy is to like learn to rest, right? I mean,
You said
That's
something else
wise.
important.
Did I?
You said to
Shocking.
identify the root
yeah.
of what's causing the burnout. And I think that's really important, because when we know what it is that's the source, then we can, when we're feeling a little bit better, our bellies are full
Of cheeseburgers.
of cheeseburgers or rice or whatever your comfort food is, you can stop and think, like, okay, is this something that I do or don't want in my life? If I do I need to change my relationship with it? Do I need to change my perspective on it? And if I don't want this in my life, what steps do I need to take to pull away or remove myself from it?
Right. In maybe a safe way. If
In a
this
safe
is a
way,
culty
exactly.
situation or a toxic spiritual leader
Exactly.
situation, like a toxic relationship situation, how do we get out?
How do we get out?
Seek that kind of advice from.
Yeah. Well, and the Six of Swords is a reminder that, like, you can't always do it alone.
Yeah. Because there's two people in the boat?
There's
How many
three
people?
people.
3 people in the boat.
There's 2 sad people, and then there's 1 person rowing.
Get someone to row your boat.
Get someone to row your
gently down the
boat.
stream. Wow, that was
Row
good.
the boat.
That was
row
great.
the boat, baby. That was great.
I like that. Oh,
I have some questions.
let's do some questions.
Let's do some questions.
We know we've been sporadic with the questioning,
It's time for the
but
third
it's
eye
time.
line.
It's time for the third eye
Time for
line.
the third eye line.
Did we make a
Do we need
jingle?
a theme song?
Maybe
for the third
since
eye
we
line?
stopped with spirit candy, we sort of the spirit candy.
Spirit candy. But do you know why we stopped with spirit candy?
Why?
Burnt out. We're tired.
We didn't want to put the expectation that we needed to have spirit candy
always
all the time.
channeling just for exactly.
Yeah, it was starting to become like, well, do you have spirit candy? I don't know. Let me just poop out a nugget right now.
Here's some information. I took a screenshot of so many questions.
Amazing.
Did I delete it? No, it's right here. Okay, this is a great
Screenshots
one.
Are lifesavers.
How often should I be doing my spiritual hygiene, and what should this consist of?
You go.
I think you do it as often as necessary.
Agree.
And it's going to be different during different seasons of your life. You know,
Yeah.
like I go through phases where I'm doing it every single day. I'm doing it throughout the day. I go through phases where there's some stuff that's kind of like a crock pot. You set it and you forget it, and you can re-up it a month or 2 later. So
Yeah.
really it just depends on like what you're trying to accomplish and what you need support with. What should it consist of? the three pillars of spiritual hygiene that I teach, which is going to be different for different people, but if you're asking me,
Which they are.
Grounding, cleansing, and protection. And those three things can be done in infinite ways.
Yeah.
There's many ways to do it, as there are witches in the world. So
Yeah.
find what feels good and right to you and start there.
Yeah. Love that. Definitely cleansing. Cleansing's a big one for
Cleansing
me.
is so good. It feels so good.
Yeah, I love that. I don't have anything to add.
Love it.
Love
Okay,
it.
let's see. We've got another one. How do you two deal with energy vampires? I feel like we've...
I cut them out of my life completely
Yeah.
if I can, and I
Yeah.
will. Because that's what I do.
Yeah. I'm at a point where I like have that luxury where I can
Yeah.
just like, if I don't want to be around a person, I just won't. We're done.
Just don't
Done.
fuck with them.
But if you are in a situation where you cannot
Yes.
remove yourself from your energy vampire, like use your magic.
Yeah,
my
I was going to
friend.
say, before you meet with, I actually have a friend who is an energy vampire. Well, I don't know if she's my friend anymore. Don't think she wants to be my friend anymore.
Wah, wah.
It happens,
happens.
sometimes.
People change.
Yeah, and that's okay. But before I would hang out with her, I would like hype myself up in a spiritual way and definitely like wear a talisman or something that
Yeah.
felt protective and almost like a mirror energy where it's like you're not getting in. I have something around me to like repel you away.
Yes.
And I love mirrors. We know this. And just even the visual of that, just having like, like visualizing like, okay, I know she's going to try and make me feel this way, but I am not a sponge. I am not a sponge. And just sort of 360 mirror reflective energy. It's not,
Yes.
it's not really like, you can do an incantation in the car, you can do a spell, or the car, like if you're getting out to go see it, just, do something before, like do some little ritual. I don't know. Yeah, it can be really anything that you want.
I love the mirror thing. I like to visualize like a sphere around me,
Yeah.
and the entire outside is mirror.
Yes,
And
that's
it's
exactly what I was picturing.
Impenetrable, and it
Do that.
reflects everything back.
Yeah.
If you work with crystals, you have crystals.
Yeah.
Hematite is particularly helpful because it
Hematite's
is
very grounding.
mirrored.
Yeah,
It's
and
grounding. It's black. It has all the
Smoky
things we
quartz.
want. Smoky quartz is helpful.
Anything
It
black.
absorbs it.
Ish for me.
What else is helpful? I love the talisman thing that Laura
Yeah.
said. Also, like,
Poison them. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So you take this little pouch and then
like
you
Issa.
sprinkle some belladonna. You take this belladonna and you sprinkle it in their drink like
Not
in
too
Practical
much.
Magic.
not too much. We're going to have to add a disclaimer to this
I am
episode.
totally... Put it under here. Babe, I mean, Mike, our producer.
This is for entertainment
This
purposes
is the
only.
disclaimer.
Don't poison your energy vampire.
It popped in...
You didn't hear it from us.
It came out.
Word vomit.
Sorry. Don't poison people.
But what you can do is some domination magic.
Yeah.
Assert your dominance over them magically.
Wrap their photo in like a spiky like twine or something. I don't know.
One of my
Like,
favorite
rose. Like get some
a
rose
rose.
and like don't put it in your pocket though because that's not cool.
One of my favorite methods of domination magic is really simple. My grandpa taught it to me because I had a boss. I've had many bosses who are energy vampires, and I was complaining about this one to him, and he's like, "No problem." And he like went into the kitchen, grabbed a brown paper bag from like the grocery store, and cut out a little square. And he had me, you like write the name of the person who's the energy vampire in pencil. And you don't lift your pencil from the page while you're doing it. Then you grab a pen.
So one line.
One line. Doesn't matter if it's messy. You grab a pen, black pen, and you write your name on top of their name. Again, we're not lifting the pen from the page. Then you stick it name side up in the bottom of the shoe of your dominant foot. So it goes inside your shoe. So that the bottom of your foot.
Your right foot.
Put your right hand in.
You're left-handed, your left foot, right? Is that what you mean by dominant foot?
Do the hokey pokey.
The pokey
turn
pokey
yourself
is a
around.
spell. Coming
what
soon
it's
to
all
Third Eye
about.
Bind. That shit is a fucking spell.
It is a spell. But yeah, I think it correlates. Yeah, if your dominant hand is right, your dominant foot's probably the right one. You'll figure it out. But anyway, you put it inside your shoe so that the names are touching the bottom of your foot and you walk around on them all day. And whenever you're going to see them, you do that.
I love literal fucking
It's very
literal shit.
But it's very, very, very effective. What else I found effective is if it's like your boss, if you get some of their personal stationery and do it.
Oh, yes.
Like I used to use the purchase orders, the like carbon copy pages from the purchase orders from my showroom. And that's what I would use. Brilliant. Delicious. And it's also kind of fun. They're like,
It's a secret for yourself.
my little secret.
And that helps you feel better too.
Right? I think so.
I love that. That's way better than putting like rose thorns in your pocket.
Yeah, that can poke you.
What in the 1800s am I talking about?
Unless you sew it into like a little like bag.
Or a satchel.
Yeah, a
I
little
was picturing
satchel.
a satchel with some. Well, that's more hexy, but yeah, I was gonna say put some spices on the
Spicy.
but yes, your idea is great.
Yeah. I do keep like rose stems with the thorns on my like protective spirits altar.
I love roses.
So I could totally see putting a little one inside of a
Rose thorns
bag.
are
Rose thorns are badass.
Just clippy them off. You can use all the plants.
Love
all
rose
the
magic.
plants.
Anything spiky. Bougainvillea has some gnarly spikes.
Yeah. I battled one of those things once and it lost.
Battle Royale.
The plant I didn't like, it had a weird spirit in it or something.
That can happen.
It did, and I didn't like it.
Bougainvillea is intense.
I grew up with those like in my yard.
Yeah,
and
they're everywhere around here.
Yeah, around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
They're really cool, but this one was evil.
That happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Didn't like it. It was trying to dominate me,
Yeah.
like my house. And I was like, excuse.
Not everything's love and light.
No, it's not. Sometimes you have to battle a plant.
Well,
Wow.
my friends, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for turning in to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. Until next week, text.
1, 2,
Ooh,
3.
Check out our website, www.thirdeyebind.com.
Yeah.
You can submit your questions there. Also, do you have a ghost story? Spooky haunting? Submit the message on there too. Tell us all about it.
Email us your ghost
Email
stories.
us.
thirdeyebindpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Send us your ghost stories.
Send them to us.
You're going to be happy you did. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Caitlin Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at Lady Moon Co. And you can find Caitlin at caitlin.grania.